The doorstep cried was a cold night on the edge of the human colony. The wind moved through the metal streets, carrying dust and silence. Most people were asleep. Only one small house still had its lights on. Inside, Daniel Reeves sat at his workbench, fixing an old drone engine. He liked quiet nights. No people, no noise, no trouble, just work. He thought this night would be the same, until he heard it. A sound. Soft at first, like a cry. Not a human cry. Daniel froze. The sound came again. Weak, broken, almost like the wind was trying to speak. He stood up slowly, his heart beating fast. He walked toward the door, each step heavy on the metal floor. When he opened it, cold air hit his face. And then he saw it. A small bundle on his doorstep. Wrapped in a torn blanket, shaking. Inside it something was moving, crying softly. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. It looked like a baby, but not a human one. Its skin was pale blue, faintly glowing under the moonlight. Small white veins shimmered beneath its surface, and its eyes, large, silver and wet, blinked up at him. "What in the world?" Daniel whispered. Then he heard another sound, a thud. A few meters away, a figure fell to the ground. A tall woman, her body thin and weak, her clothes torn. Daniel rushed to her side. Her face was unlike any human. Smooth, marked with faint glowing lines like light under glass. She looked alien, but her pain looked human. She tried to speak. Her voice shook. "Please, protect my child." Daniel leaned closer. "Who are you? What happened?" But her eyes were already closing. She tried to reach toward the baby, her hand trembling. Hungry, cold. Then she went still. Daniel felt panic rise inside him. He looked at her, then at the small creature crying in the blanket. He didn't know what to do. He should call the patrol. The colony had strict laws, no alien contact, no exceptions. But the baby was freezing. He looked around the dark street, no one was there. Then he sighed, muttering, "To hell with the rules." He lifted the baby carefully, surprised by how light it was. The child stopped crying and looked up at him, those silver eyes wide and quiet. For a moment, Daniel felt something strange, a kind of peace. Then he carried the baby and the alien woman inside. He placed the woman on his old couch and wrapped her in a blanket. Her skin was cold. He couldn't tell if she was breathing. Then he turned to the baby, laying it on his workbench. The baby's tiny fingers moved toward his arm, touching his skin. The glow under its skin grew brighter and warm. Daniel blinked. "You're not dangerous, are you?" he whispered. The baby only made a small sound, like a sigh. He found a bottle, filled it with warm nutrient liquid, and fed the child. The baby drank quietly, its glow softening. Daniel smiled without meaning to. "There, that's better." Then suddenly the lights flickered. His home sensors beeped, energy fluctuation detected. Daniel looked at the baby. Its glow pulsed faster, brighter, like a heartbeat made of light. He quickly covered it with the blanket, muttering, "Easy now. Don't get me caught on your first night here." He glanced at the alien woman again, still unconscious, her breathing shallow but steady. He sat near her, thinking hard. "What do I do with you two?" he whispered. Outside, the wind howled through the metal streets again, and Daniel knew he couldn't turn them in. He'd seen too many soldiers drag people away, calling it security. He looked at the baby again. The little one opened its eyes and looked straight at him. For a moment, Daniel felt like it was reading him, seeing his loneliness, his silence, his empty life. Then, the baby reached out again, and its small hand touched his wrist. A soft blue light spread under his skin like tiny sparks moving up his arm. Daniel gasped. And suddenly, for a flash of a second, he saw something that wasn't his memory. A burning ship, alarms blaring, the alien woman running with the child, shouting in fear. Soldiers chasing, explosions, then blackness. Daniel pulled his hand back, breathing hard. The baby had shown him its memory. He looked at the sleeping alien woman, then the child, then the door. Outside, the patrol drones were humming far away. He took a deep breath. "All right," he whispered. "You came to my door. You're staying here, both of you." And as he spoke, the baby stopped glowing, resting peacefully, safe for the first time. But Daniel didn't notice that a faint red light was blinking under his scanner. The system had already detected an unknown energy source inside his house. The glow and the raw morning came slowly, touching the sky with dull red light. Daniel hadn't slept all night. He sat beside the couch watching the alien woman breathe, slow, uneven but alive. The baby slept quietly in a box lined with his old shirts, the soft glow under its skin fading in and out like a heartbeat. He didn't know what to call them. He didn't even know if keeping them was right. But he knew one thing. If anyone found out, they would both be taken away. The colony rules were clear. No alien life forms allowed inside human zones. All contact must be reported. Punishment for hiding aliens, exile or death. Daniel rubbed his face. "You've really done it now, Reeve," he muttered to himself. Then a soft voice broke the silence. "You, human?" He turned quickly. The alien woman was awake, her eyes half open. They were strange, deep blue with faint silver light in them. Her voice was weak, but her tone carried fear and confusion. "Yes," Daniel said carefully. "You're safe here. You fainted last night." Her gaze moved around the small room. Metal walls, shelves of tools, faint steam rising from a kettle. Then she looked at the box where her baby slept. Her body tensed, but when she saw the child breathing peacefully, she relaxed. "Thank you," she whispered. Her hand touched her chest. "My name?" "Rhea." Daniel nodded. "Daniel, you were lucky I heard you." Rhea's face fell. "Not lucky, hunted." The word made Daniel's stomach tighten. "Hunted? By who?" She looked at him with tired eyes. "Humans, soldiers, we ran. They said we were spies. We only wanted food." Her voice broke, and Daniel felt a deep, quiet guilt, not for something he'd done, but for what humans like him had done in her name. Before he could reply, his wall monitor flickered on with a harsh voice. "Attention all residents," said the colony commander. "A Lizari female and infant escaped military custody last night. They are dangerous fugitives. Anyone found hiding them will face immediate punishment. Report any energy anomalies or unusual activity." The voice ended. The silence that followed was heavy. Rhea's eyes widened. "They know." Daniel's mind raced. The scanner had blinked red last night. Maybe it had already sent a signal. He jumped to his desk and started typing commands, trying to block any outgoing data. His fingers moved fast, his breath sharp. "Don't worry. They won't find you. Not here." He rerouted the home's power and set up a crude energy shield, something he once designed for deep space drones. It wouldn't last long, maybe a few days, but it would hide their energy signatures from patrols. Rhea watched him with tired curiosity. "What, you help?" Daniel didn't answer right away. He just stared at the baby, who had woken and was watching him silently. The small creature's eyes were too knowing, too calm. "Because I can't throw a mother and child to the soldiers," Daniel said finally. "Because I've seen what happens when humans stop caring." Rhea looked at him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "You are not like the others?" He gave a dry laugh. "Don't be too sure." Hours passed. Daniel fed the baby, changed its wrappings, and helped Rhea sit up. He noticed her hands glowing faintly when she touched the child, as if her energy flowed into it. The light grew softer, warmer, almost peaceful. He asked quietly, "What's the baby's name?" Rhea smiled weakly. "Soul," Daniel repeated it. "Soul, like the sun," she nodded. "He carries light, even in dark places." For the first time in years, Daniel smiled for real, but peace didn't last long. Outside, the sound of patrol drones filled the air, sharp, mechanical, growing closer. Daniel froze. Rhea grabbed the baby and held him close, trembling. Through the small window, Daniel saw 3 silver drones scanning the street with red beams. They were checking for alien energy. One of them hovered near his door. He whispered, "Don't move." The drone paused, then drifted away. After a tense minute, the sound faded into the distance. Daniel let out the breath he'd been holding. His hands shook. He turned to Rhea. "They'll come again. Stronger scans next time. I need to upgrade the shield." Rhea looked down at Soul. "We bring you danger." Daniel shook his head. "No. You brought light." He looked at the baby again, small, fragile, glowing softly in his workshop. He didn't understand how this strange child could calm him like that. But one thing was clear. He couldn't let the soldiers find them. As night fell again, Daniel sealed the door, powered down his lights, and whispered to himself, "Tomorrow, I'll figure out how to keep you safe, both of you." But he didn't see the faint blinking light on the roof. The colony drones had already marked his home for further inspection. The search begins. The next morning arrived with a thin grey light and the sound of distant engines. Daniel stood at his window, watching 3 military patrol ships pass overhead. Their searchlights swept across rooftops like watchful eyes. He didn't need a message to know what was happening. They were searching for her, for Rhea and her baby. Rhea sat quietly on the couch, the child in her arms. She hadn't spoken much since the announcement last night. Sol's glow had dimmed, like he could feel the fear in the air. Daniel turned away from the window. "They're sweeping the lower sectors now. They'll reach this zone by nightfall." Rhea's hands tightened around Sul. "If they find us, they will not ask questions. They will shoot," he nodded. "That's what I'm afraid of." For a long time, neither spoke. The air between them was heavy with tension and silence. Finally, Rhea broke it. "You can still turn us in," she whispered. "Say you found us and tried to help. They might let you live." Daniel shook his head. "I already made my choice the moment I opened that door. I'm not turning anyone in." He began pulling wires and small metal parts from drawers, setting them on the table. Rhea watched, puzzled. "What are you doing?" "Building something that might save us," he said. "The shield I made last night won't hold when they use deep scanners. I need something stronger." She tilted her head. "You are engineer." "Was," Daniel replied. "Before the war." He didn't say more, but his eyes grew darker, the kind of darkness that comes from things remembered too well. Hours passed. Daniel worked non-stop, hands steady, mind racing. Rhea fed Sol quietly, humming a soft, echoing tune. The sound was strange, almost haunting, yet peaceful. The baby's glow grew stronger, matching the rhythm of her voice. Daniel paused and looked up. "That song? What is it?" Rhea smiled faintly. "A song from our world. We sing it when we want light to listen. It comforts him." Daniel returned to his work, listening as he tightened bolts and adjusted circuits. For a brief moment, the fear in his chest eased. Then his comm screen blinked red. "Incoming message. Mandatory home check. Sector 9A." Daniel's heart sank. The patrols were doing door-to-door scans. They'd be here within hours. He looked at Rhea. "We have to move." "Move? Where?" "The underground tunnels," he said. "Old maintenance lines. I used to work down there. The scanners can't reach that deep." He packed supplies into a small bag, food packets, thermal blankets, a power cell, a toolkit. Rhea helped, strapping Sol to her chest. When they stepped outside, the streets were silent. Only the distant hum of drones filled the air. Daniel led them through back alleys and service shafts until they reached a metal hatch covered in dust. He forced it open, and cold air rushed up from below. "Down here," he whispered. They climbed into darkness. The tunnel was narrow, lined with old cables and dripping pipes. Their footsteps echoed softly. Rhea held Sol close, whispering to calm him. After walking for a while, Daniel stopped to rest. He turned on a dim lamp. The light flickered, showing their tired faces. Rhea looked around. "You know this place well," Daniel nodded. "I helped build half of it, back when humans still believed in helping each other." She studied him quietly. "You speak as if you no longer believe." He gave a small, sad smile. "Maybe I don't, not until last night." They sat in silence again. Then Daniel heard something, faint voices from above. A patrol, searching houses, getting closer. He turned off the lamp and pressed his finger to his lips. The sound of boots, scanners, and radio chatter echoed from the vents above. House 17 clear. House 18 picking up residual energy. Daniel's heart stopped. House 18 was his. "They found it," he whispered. The footsteps faded after a few minutes, but Daniel knew what would come next. They'd discover his shield, realize he'd tampered with signals, and send a deeper scan through the sector. He leaned against the tunnel wall, breathing hard. "We can't stay here. We need a real plan." Rhea touched his arm gently. "You risk too much for us." Daniel looked at her, then at Sul, whose small glow lit the space around them like a candle. You came to my door for a reason. Maybe I was supposed to find you. Ria's eyes softened. Or maybe we were supposed to remind you of something you forgot. Before Daniel could reply, a low hum shook the tunnel. The sound of scanners descending, sweeping deeper, searching the underground lines. Daniel's eyes widened. They're scanning below ground now. Ria gripped Saul tight. What do we do? He grabbed his toolkit, already moving fast. We run. There's an old service exit near the river ducts. If we reach it before they scan this section, we might survive. He turned off the lamp and led them into darkness. Their footsteps echoed as the faint red light from above began to crawl across the tunnel walls, hunting them like blood veins through the earth. And as they ran, Saul's glow began to brighten again, as if the baby knew the danger before they did. The raid, the tunnels shook. A deep vibration rolled through the ground like thunder. Dust fell from the pipes overhead. Daniel stopped mid-step, his breath sharp. They found the access points, he whispered. They're coming underground. Ria clutched Saul tighter against her chest. They will not stop. They will hunt us until we are gone. Daniel grabbed her hand. Then we keep moving. The air was cold and damp. Every echo of their footsteps felt too loud, like the tunnels themselves were listening. Ahead, Daniel's lamp flickered as they moved deeper into the maze of metal corridors. Behind them, the hum of scanner drones grew louder. Red lights danced along the walls, searching, sweeping, closing in. Daniel stopped at a crossroads of 3 tunnels. His mind raced. He remembered the maps from years ago when he worked here. The right tunnel led to the water ducts. The left went to the maintenance lift. Left, he said quickly, pulling Ria along. But before they could move, a sharp mechanical voice echoed through the tunnel speakers. Unauthorized life signatures detected. Human and Lysari biological forms confirmed. Prepare for capture. Daniel froze. His blood went cold. They've locked onto us. A red beam shot down the tunnel behind them. It wasn't light. It was a scan, sweeping the ground like a wave. Daniel threw himself and Ria behind a metal support pillar just in time. The beam passed, sizzling against the wall. Saul whimpered softly. Daniel covered the baby's face, whispering, "Shh. It's okay, little one." When the beam faded, Daniel peeked out. 3 drones hovered in the distance, glowing red like eyes in the dark. They were scanning section by section, getting closer. We can't outrun them, Ria said, her voice shaking. Maybe not, Daniel replied. But I can distract them. Before she could stop him, Daniel grabbed a metal pipe, struck the wall hard, and sent a loud echo down the left tunnel. The drones turned immediately and flew toward the noise. Daniel whispered, "Run, take Saul, head right." Ria's eyes widened. "I will not leave you. Go," he snapped. "I'll catch up." She hesitated for a second, then ran, clutching her baby and disappearing into the shadows. Daniel crouched low and waited. The drones entered the space, scanning bright beams across the metal. Their sensors beeped, confused by the echoes of his earlier noise. He picked up a small energy cell from his bag and tossed it down the tunnel. When it hit the floor, it exploded in a burst of light. The drones rushed toward it instantly. Daniel sprinted the other way. The tunnels twisted like a maze. He could barely see where he was going, but he followed the faint hum of Ria's voice, soft, trembling, but real. Then from behind came the sound of metal claws scraping the floor. Daniel turned. A patrol drone had spotted him. Its red lens glowed bright as it fired a stun shot. The beam hit the wall beside him, throwing sparks. He ducked, rolling behind a pipe and firing his own pulse pistol, a small tool he'd modified for defense. The shot hit the drone's sensor, cracking it, and the machine spun out of control before crashing into the wall. "Still got it?" Daniel muttered. Breathing hard, he found Ria and Saul waiting near an old hatch marked Exit B47. Daniel twisted the handle, but it didn't move. "It's sealed. We need power." Ria placed her glowing hand on the panel. Blue light spread under her skin and into the metal. With a hiss, the door unlocked. Daniel stared at her. "How did you—" "No time," she said. "Go." They climbed up the ladder into blinding daylight. The hatch opened into the edge of the colony, an empty scrapyard filled with rusted machines and broken ships. But before Daniel could close the hatch behind them, a shadow fell over the yard. A military hovercraft, Loudspeakers blared, "Step away from the alien human. You are harboring enemies of the Union." Daniel's heart pounded. He stepped in front of Rhea and Sul. "You'll have to kill me first." The soldiers dropped from the craft, armored and armed. Their helmets reflected the sun. One raised a scanner. "Target confirmed. The Lissarian child are wanted fugitives. Stand aside." Rhea clutched Sul close. The baby's glow pulsed brighter, as if it sensed danger. Daniel spread his arms. "You shoot and that light dies with them. Is that what humanity stands for now?" The commander hesitated, but only for a second. "You've made your choice." He raised his weapon. Then, before he could fire, the ground beneath them shook. A sudden burst of light exploded from Saul's small body, blinding white, expanding outward like a pulse wave. The soldiers staggered back, shields sparking. The hovercraft lost control, spinning and crashing into the junk piles. Daniel turned, eyes wide. Rhea held Sul, who was glowing brighter than ever. Calm, quiet, but radiating power. What is he?" Daniel whispered. Rhea looked at him, her voice soft but filled with awe. "He is not just a child. He is our light, our last hope." The dust settled, and in the distance more patrols began to arrive. Daniel knew this wasn't over. He tightened his grip on his pack. "Then we better move fast before your light brings the whole damn army." The journey to the ice canyons, the wind screamed across the scrapyard like a living thing. Dust spun into the air as Daniel pulled Rhea and Sol toward a small cargo hauler hidden behind broken engines. It was old, dented and half-rusted, but it still had life in it. Daniel slammed the hatch shut as bullets pinged off the hull. "Hold on," he shouted. Rhea clutched Sol tight as the engines coughed and then roared to life. The ship lifted just as a patrol drone burst through the smoke behind them. Daniel jerked the controls hard, sending the hauler skimming low over the metal rooftops. "Where are we going?" Rhea cried out. "The ice canyons," Daniel said, his voice steady but his hands trembling. "It's the only place the scanners can't reach. Too much interference from the storms." Rhea looked down at Sul, whose glow flickered softly like a heartbeat. "Can we make it that far?" Daniel gave a tired grin. "If the engines don't explode first, maybe." Outside, the sky darkened as they left the colony zone. Storm clouds swirled thick and heavy. Bolts of lightning cracked through the air, painting the world white for seconds at a time. Daniel flew lower, close to the rough, icy terrain below. The canyons stretched ahead, deep valleys carved by time, glimmering under the frozen light. But peace didn't last. A radar alarm blared on the dashboard. "Multiple pursuers," Daniel muttered. "They're still tracking us." 3 black dots appeared behind them, fast, armed patrol crafts. Rhea turned pale. "They won't stop, will they?" "Not until they destroy you," Daniel said grimly. "Or until I destroy them." He flipped a switch. The rear thrusters roared, pushing the hauler faster. The ship shook violently, metal rattling. Sol started to cry, his glow pulsing brighter and brighter until the cabin was filled with soft light. Daniel glanced back, surprised. "He's reacting to the engines?" Rhea nodded quickly. "He feels energy. He can guide it." Daniel frowned, thinking fast. "Then tell him to keep feeling. We're gonna need all the help we can get." As Sol's glow grew stronger, the ship's engines stabilized. Power readings jumped. The old hauler suddenly moved smoother, faster, almost alive. The first patrol ship fired. A plasma bolt shot past their wing, leaving a smoking scar. Daniel jerked the controls, diving between icy ridges. The storm ahead grew thicker. Winds howling, snow swirling like ghosts. He shouted over the noise. "If they follow us into the canyons, they'll lose signal. Maybe even crash." Rhea looked behind them. "They are coming anyway!" The crafts chased through the storm, beams flashing in the snow. The hauler shook violently as another blast grazed the side. Sparks flew. Daniel gritted his teeth. Almost there. Then the radar blinked red. Collision warning. The canyon walls rose fast ahead, narrow and sharp like teeth. Daniel pulled hard on the controls. The ship scraped rock, metal screaming, but it made it through. Behind them, one patrol craft wasn't so lucky. It hit the wall and exploded in a flash of fire and snow. 2 left. Daniel gasped. Rhea closed her eyes, whispering words in her language. The sound was soft, rhythmic, and strange. It filled the cabin like a song. Sol quieted, his glow turning calm blue. And then something unbelievable happened. The storm around them shifted. The lightning bent away, the wind slowed, and a clear path opened through the ice. Daniel stared in shock. Did he do that? Rhea didn't answer. Her eyes were glowing faintly too, in rhythm with her child's. They shot through the calm corridor of storm, leaving the remaining pursuers behind. The hauler burst out over a wide frozen plain, endless ice glowing under a pale sun. Daniel slowed the ship, breathing hard. We made it. The scanners can't reach here. Rhea sank to her knees, still holding Sul. Thank you, Daniel. He shook his head. Don't thank me yet. We need a place to hide before the next wave comes. He landed the ship near a deep cave cut into the side of the glacier. The engines went silent, and only the wind whispered outside. Inside the cave, blue light reflected off the ice, painting their faces with a cold glow. Daniel set up a small fire unit and wrapped them in thermal sheets. For the first time in days, silence felt safe. Rhea sat beside him, rocking Sul gently. You could have left us, but you didn't. Daniel looked at the baby, then at her. I used to think the universe didn't care about anyone. But now, he paused, his voice softer. Now I'm not so sure. Sul's small hand reached toward Daniel, glowing faintly. The warmth spread through his skin, soft, human, alive. For a brief moment, Daniel felt peace. But outside, beyond the cave, red lights flickered in the clouds, patrol scanners sweeping the horizon again. The hunt wasn't over. The human choice. The cave was quiet, but Daniel couldn't sleep. Outside, the storm had softened into a low, distant hum. Inside, the soft glow from Sul's tiny body reflected on the icy walls, making the space feel alive, warm, even in the cold. Rhea slept beside her child, her breathing calm. Daniel watched them, the alien mother and her baby, fragile, yet stronger than anyone he had ever met. But his peace didn't last. His wrist communicator beeped faintly, a secure signal. He hesitated before answering. Daniel, came a voice through static. It was command. You're off the grid. Report status. He froze. They didn't know where he was yet. But the signal meant they were getting close. I can't. Daniel whispered to himself, switching the device off. His heart pounded. He knew what would happen if the human military found out he'd sheltered an alien fugitive, especially one with a child born of forbidden energy. He turned to look at Rhea again. She stirred, opening her eyes slowly. You're afraid, she said softly. Daniel forced a small smile. You could tell. I feel fear, she said, placing a hand on her chest. It changes the air. He laughed quietly, but the sound died fast. They're looking for me, for you. If they track this ship's energy signature, they'll come. Rhea's expression darkened. Then we leave before dawn. Daniel nodded, but he knew the truth. The hauler couldn't fly again. The engines were dead. We'll freeze before we get far on foot, he said. Rhea looked down at Sul. Then I'll carry him. You don't need to come. Daniel frowned. Don't start that again. I'm not leaving you too. Rhea met his eyes. Why, you owe us nothing. Daniel sighed. Maybe I don't. But someone left me once when things got hard. I swore I'd never do that to anyone else. For a long moment, they just looked at each other, human and alien. Survivors of two different worlds bound by one fragile thread. Then a sharp sound broke the silence. A distant engine roar. Daniel jumped to his feet and ran to the cave mouth. Red lights flickered in the clouds again. Patrol ships. Closer this time. They found us, he whispered. Rhea stood clutching Sul. What do we do? Daniel scanned the icy plain. There was nowhere to hide. Then he spotted something. A narrow crevice in the glacier half covered by snow. This way, he said. They ran, their breaths fogging in the freezing air. The snow crunched under their boots. Above, the drone's lights swept back and forth, searching. Daniel helped Rhea climb down into the narrow crack in the ice. It was dark, cold, but deep enough to hide. They huddled together as engines thundered above. The sound grew louder, closer. Rhea whispered, They'll find us. Daniel looked at his communicator. He hesitated, then made his choice. He pressed the emergency beacon. The light blinked red. Rhea grabbed his hand. "What are you doing?" "I'm giving them something to follow," he said quietly. "They'll think I'm running east. The signal will lead them away from you." Her eyes widened. "That means you'll be caught," he said with a small, tired smile. "Maybe, but it's better they find me than your child." Rhea shook her head, her voice breaking. "You can't do this." Daniel placed a hand on Sewell's small head. "He deserves a chance to live. You both do. That's worth it." He stood up, pulling his coat tighter. "Daniel," Rhea's voice trembled. "You're a strange man. Your kind fight wars, but you choose kindness." He smiled faintly. "Maybe that's what makes us human." He turned and climbed out of the crevice. The snowstorm swallowed him as he ran into the white haze, the beacon flashing in his hand. Minutes later, the patrol ships changed course, following the false signal east. Rhea crouched in the shadows, clutching Sewell to her chest. Tears rolled down her cheeks, freezing as they fell. Above, the sound faded. Silence returned to the ice. She whispered to her child, "He saved us." Sewell stirred, glowing softly as if understanding. The light spread across the ice around them, faint but growing stronger, reaching toward the horizon, where Daniel had gone. For a brief moment, it looked like the whole frozen world was breathing.